Welcome! In this series of videos, we will look at software that complements the PowerBasic Windows and console compilers. Today we will look again at the SmartGit application to allow you to version manage your applications by creating branches. By the end of the last video, we had used SmartGit to create a local Git repository. This repository is containing our PowerBasic code, and we have made 3 revisions of this code inside SmartGit. We are now looking to release our PowerBasic application to our user community. So at this point, it's a good idea to put a tag on the revision of the code that you're actually releasing. We can do this quite easily by right-clicking and adding the tag. Once we've clicked the Add Tag, this will appear in the graph window. So this quite easily marks a revision which has been released. You can add tags for any reason, but adding them for release is really useful. Now, having made our release, we want to go on to develop version 2. But if you're in any doubt of where the source code actually resides on the disk of your computer, you can quite easily find it by going to the Tools window. Click on the repository, click on the Tools window, and click Open in Explorer. You will then find Explorer opens up with the source files on display. We can now go into our source folder and we'll make some minor changes to our source code. So if we go back to SmartGit, we'll see that it now shows that the working tree has 2 changed files, the PowerBasic backup and the main application itself. And our window at the bottom is showing what those changes are. We'll now check both of those back into the repository by committing them. Now that we have actually started working on version 2, one of our users has actually raised an issue against version 1, which has been released. However, our developers have moved beyond version 1. They are already developing version 2, and the source code has moved on. However, the bug fix you need to apply to version 1 needs to be done quickly. And our developers have moved well beyond version 1 in changing a number of files and functions within the application. So what we need to do here is a branch. If we go to the Release 1.0 tag, highlight that and right click. One of the things you can do down here is click Add Branch. We can give the branch a sensible name and then we can click Add Branch and check out. As you will see, this now shows that we're in bug fix mode. We've now got an additional branch added to our list of branches. If we go back to PowerBasic, it will tell us that the file has been changed by another application. If we reload it, we will see that the entry we put in for version 2 is no longer there. We've now travelled back in time to a point where the source code existed at version 1. We can now go in and make changes. So let's go in and add a new file. And we will save this in with the rest of our source code. So we've now added a new include file and updated our main.bas file. We can compile quite happily, and if we go back to SmartGit, SmartGit will show us in the working tree we have 4 changes. We have an untracked bug fix include file, our log file has been updated, the demo file itself has actually been updated to show the new change, and the backup has been modified. We can now check all of these files in back to the repository. We can commit it, and we're going to assume that this passed our testing. So we can now add another tag to this version of the code. So there's our new tag added. Now if we go to the window and pick Show Standard Window, this will show us that we have got a branch which at the moment is quite independent of the trunk. So we want to go back and make some more changes to our main trunk. If we go back to the master by double clicking on it, and we want to check that out to make master our current branch. And there we're back to our current branch. If we go back into Power Basic, it will tell us that the files are now changed. And there is the minor changes for release 2. There is no mention of the include file we did in the bug fix. So we're now back to the version 2 code. If we have a look at the standard window, it will show us we're on the main trunk and the bug fix is out here on a branch. Now ideally we want to fold the code changes made in that branch back to the main code base so that any fix we have made will still be included in version 2. So how can we actually do a merge? Branching is the easy part. Sometimes merging can be quite complicated. However, SmartGit does give you some features which make it easier. If we click on the bug fix for release, this is the branch we want to merge into the main trunk. If we right click and pick merge, this tells us how to merge from a branch bug fix into our main trunk. So what we're going to use is a create merge commit. And it's telling us the merge has succeeded. We'll see in this merge branch that we have added the bug fix and the blockchain demo.baz file has been updated. So let's have a look at the Power Basic code to see what it looks like now. Again, it tells us it has changed. We can look to see the include file is now in place. And if we scroll up, the minor changes that we put in for release 2 are also there. So what SmartGit has done for you is identify the changes that were in our version 2, identify what changes were made for the branch, and merge the two together for you quite happily. And we can see from the diagram, graphically, the branch has now been folded back into the main trunk. So we can now continue the development on version 2, safe in the knowledge that the code we amended for the bug fix has now been included in the main trunk, so that version 2 when it rolls out will not be missing a bug fix. We're still working with SmartGit and the Git repository locally. This does have the disadvantage in that if your computer fails or the hard disk gets corrupted, then you will lose all of your source code. Normally we would expect our Git repository to be cloned up to somewhere in the cloud, for example GitHub. We'll cover how to do that in a later episode. So for the moment you would want to back up your Git repository. But your question would be, where actually is the Git repository? We have seen the source files for our currently checked out branch, but we have not seen the Git repository itself. So in order to see where the Git repository files are actually held, we can quite easily find this from inside SmartGit. If we click on the repository, go to the Tools menu and open it in Explorer. This will show us the folder that contains all our source files. We have a Projects Blockchain Part 4, in which all our source files are. However, the Git repository is actually here, but it's hidden. Once we have opened up this folder, if you go to the View option on the ribbon toolbar, select Show and Hidden Items. You will see there's a hidden folder which appears called .git. If you go into that folder, you will see this is actually your Git repository. Normally, you would not need to go into this folder, as SmartGit itself manages everything in here for you. So everything within the Git repository 2 folder can be backed up, which will allow you to have a complete backup of not only your current source files as you're working on them, but also the Git repository itself. As always, you can never have enough backups. So today we have covered doing branching and merging, allowing you to take your Power Basic application, work off at a tangent, and fold the changes back into the main trunk. Hopefully you'll find this useful developing your Power Basic applications. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching.